I asked him, do you accentuate the strengths or try to eliminate the weaknesses?
Yeah, I think you got to start making some decisions on where to narrow it down. You can't focus on everything,
right?
So taking out the stuff that we feel like is kind of like sunk costs at this point. Maybe trying to trim that, and then really focusing on and honing in on the stuff that we want to go excel at, and that's stuff that I feel like maybe opportunities that we haven't been able to take advantage of at this point. And stuff that we do feel like we're doing well, we can try to build on that.
Okay, so when I asked him if that meant simplifying, he said, no, not quite simplifying, but...
I wouldn't say simplify. I mean, I don't think we're doing complicated things right now. I would say maybe less. Maybe less is more at this point. Maybe just getting better at it.
Yeah, I think it's
shrinking the playbook?
Yeah, I think it goes back a little bit to what I tried to ask, again, reacting, thinking, just kind of all these things all around just the major topic that is offensively especially, and maybe defensively too. I don't think through 8 games they can say this is who we are. And I know that is overly simple and probably an overgeneralization used way too much by me and analysts and, even on sports radio. But, you've got to first know, this is what we hang our hat on. This is what we do. This is who we are. And you go into a season and you certainly spend your OTA, Salk, and you implement your plan and you put in all of your framework of your offense and your defense and the schemes that you believe in and the schemes that Mike Macdonald has come from and the scheme that Ryan Grubb has brought to the NFL level, with all the no huddle and cool concepts. And then you get into it and you have to figure out against, the live bullets, this is what my guys can do within this, and this is what they can't do right now. And I know you asked that question, do you accentuate your strengths or try to minimize and eliminate your weaknesses? Because isn't that management 101?
Yeah, I mean, that was certainly the management course that I took. Basically said, okay, here are your strengths, lean into them. Here are your weaknesses, don't worry as much about them. Here are your fatal flaws, you have to fix them. Right? And that is sort of the...
How come you left that third one out yesterday?
Well, it was uncomfortable enough being in that room anyway. I didn't need to make it any worse.
Oh my gosh, you buried the lead.
I did not.
You could have asked him the third one. I
no.
3 doors for you.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think that was necessary yesterday.
You think that would have created a little bit more?
I think the friction was, sort of high enough in the room. The temperature was getting hotter. I didn't feel the need to twist.
Well, in the NFL, the fatal flaws get cut. I mean, that's just kind of what's going to happen. It's what happened 14 years ago, right? The first time that this thing was built by Pete and John, and okay, this has got to go, and this has got to go, and that's got to go, and this can't be part of our program, and this doesn't fit, whether size, shape, speed, scheme, personality, whatever. So those things in the NFL get cut, and then it really does come down to, and there's a difference in philosophy as I've talked to different coaches over the years. Mike and asked kind of this question, do you play to your strengths or do you want to try to make sure your weaknesses don't get exposed? Do you go into a game plan and say, okay.
And the idea of saying both doesn't always work. I know
it does not.
People want to say, just do both.
No.
You only have so much time in the day. And, focusing on too many things can be your undoing. So,
yes.
Brock, I actually kind of like his answer here. I like the idea of, hey, you know what? He can say that the word simplify isn't right because I get it. It's not about complication, but it's about just sheer amount that they're throwing at the guys. Maybe less is more. And by the way, if that is the problem, isn't that an ideal problem for the Seahawks? Doesn't it mean that, you can simplify it, get better, and then still have the option of recomplicating it down the line and adding more to it?
Yes.
I don't know. It makes some sense. He's a new coach. He's coming off a lot of success in his last job. I'm sure it's easy to get ahead of yourself and kind of want to start on page 25 of the playbook, but maybe you do have to go back to the basics in the first couple chapters, and maybe that's what he's learning here.
I guarantee you there will be some aha moments next week during the bye week that you just don't get during the regular season. As you're just kind of going and going and going, and you have all your analysts and they're doing all the work and you're looking at your tendencies through that process. But when you actually get the bye week to have a full self scout and you fully look at all of these things we've done, I think I was telling you, I actually was chatting with Uncle Luke about this, and he's like, what's weird is this coverage called 2-man, right? 2 high safeties. So there's cover 2 where you got 2 deep safeties and 5 underneath zone defenders that cover sideline to sideline, right? And the corners are out there pressing and clouding coverage. They got support. Well, 2-man is 2 deep safeties, and then every other guy underneath is man coverage. I mean, it's a really good, hard, and should be difficult to throw against. You should be able to run forever, and QBs that can run love seeing that because once the backs turn and the safeties drop, they got all sorts of green grass to go run. But it's like, it's amazing. We don't, teams that we have played, they've never shown it. They've not shown it all year until they play us. And the more that we kind of studied it, we realized, like, well, the reason they're doing that is we're 4 for 22 versus 2-man. Like we're not good at beating it. So you're going to see those things. I promise you, Salk, they're going to get into their bye week and go, wow, okay, on, gap scheme runs or this outside zone or this player, or you get into all the nitty gritty of studying and going, this isn't working for us. Like, we can't do this. I was able to do it before. I was able to play a light box. I was able to do these things. And, that linebacker that I had at Michigan or that guy I had at Baltimore, he could come up and fill in that hole, make that tackle. We're not doing that. And we're doing it at a rate of X.
Well, what you're saying, though, Brock, is sort of interesting because that does, at least the end of it suggests that while, yes, less might be more, that some of it does relate back to a talent gap.
100%.
So he's not saying it's a talent gap, and he said very clearly it's not an effort gap.
No, and he's never going to say that.
Nor should he. He's not going to throw his GM under the bus. I wouldn't want him to. But when you hear this,
no.
You asked him, is the entire playbook available to them right now?
No, and the reason is because you can't. We haven't executed the things well enough and created the situations where we want to be able to get to everything. I think you can speak on both sides of the ball. So it's frustrating, you have some things that would help schematically, but the answer at the end of the day isn't the X's and O's. It's really not.
What is it then? If the answer isn't at the end of the day, the X's and O's.
And it's not the effort. He said clearly it wasn't the effort.
Is it the Jimmys and the Joes?
Well, there's only so many options left, right?
Yes.
If it's not the X's and O's and it's not the effort, it sounds like it's the talent. And, by the way, that fits my eye as well. And I know he's not saying it. I'm saying it. I felt it all along. That they're only so talented. And, I think that's offense, and especially in terms of what you've got on the offensive line, but also, what your wide receiver room looks like when you take DK Metcalf out of it. And then certainly on defense, I don't know whether there's enough talent there for him to do everything he wants to do.
Yep. I think that is fair. Yeah.